Welcome Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love in the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and let's talk about Season 1 of The Americans. The Americans tells the story of two Soviet spies in deep cover during the Cold War. They were specifically trained to fit into American society and appear to be a normal married couple in the suburbs, while they're actually carrying out missions for the motherland. Phillip and Elizabeth are characters in a complicated situation. They have a life, a house, a marriage, 2 kids, and it's obviously difficult not to care about all of that while you have to sneak out late at night to murder people. Making us feel just how difficult their lives are is something that this show does very well. You consistently see how these conflicts between their relationship, their lives, and their loyalty to the mission test their resolve and force them to make pretty much impossible decisions. The Americans is very much a spy thriller, and a good one. I can already tell you that if you're into that sort of genre, you're most likely going to have a lot of fun with this show. The story in The Americans is complicated. It keeps twisting and turning, but I felt that the show did a really good job at pausing every once in a while to make sure that you actually understand what's going on and who's who. Something else this show does well is suspense. Critical for spy stories, and this show does it well. The story feels dynamic, and you're always wondering who's going to betray who and who's actually loyal. There is a strange disconnect, though, between the story and the performances. The acting in the show is not by any measure bad, but sometimes it's just not as good as you'd expect. Does that make sense? The show is definitely a high-caliber, quality show. I personally really got into the story, and I liked how it played out, and I liked the characters, but sometimes it felt that the performances are not at the same level as the story. As for the story itself, the only thing that really bugged me a little bit is that sometimes they would carry out this complicated plan to get a piece of information, and there's a very real chance they'd fail, and you could feel that. But pretty often a character or someone Phillip or Elizabeth are working will just awkwardly say the thing that they're looking for. Hey man, what's up? Rough day at work? Yeah man, you got that right. Remember that undercover FBI operation I gave you all the details for no apparent reason? So there are 4 more undercover agents taking out that building right now. Wow, really? That's really something. Could you, I'll be back in just like 2 minutes. So yeah, there are a lot of coincidences that are a bit too convenient, but I didn't feel that it really hurt the show that bad. The pacing in the show was absolutely great. Most episodes fly by. It's a great show to binge watch. Going back to the story, I love how complete it is. The show tells the story from all sides. The Russian side, the FBI side, how everything affects Phillip and Elizabeth personally, how it affects their kids. There are a lot of aspects to this story, all being told at the same time. But it doesn't feel crowded. It's not too much. It keeps the show going in a really good, consistent pace. The Americans is not really about action scenes, it's more about espionage, but you do get quite a few fight scenes which are pretty awesome. Phillip and Elizabeth are badasses. Overall, I enjoyed the season, but it's very much a season 1. The story is still pretty much contained. I really expected the finale to blow me away and just leave me breathless, but really all it does is just put the pieces in place for season 2, which is great. I'm definitely going to be watching season 2. I'm going to watch all the seasons for this show, but I like it when a season does more than set up for the next one. Bottom line, should you watch it? The Americans is a quality spy thriller. You should definitely watch it if that's the style you like. I didn't feel that season 1 was amazing, but it does feel like an investment in a story that's going to pay off with the other seasons. It's an interesting story with characters that have to deal with a very specific and complicated type of pressure. I thought that part of the show was super interesting to watch. And one last thing, which is kind of nitpicking, but there are some flashback scenes back to Moscow, and there's this one scene when Phillip is speaking Russian and you can hear and see that it's a dub. The voice doesn't really match the lip movement. That just pulled me out of the experience completely for a few moments, or at least until the next scene. But it was just one scene, if I remember it right, and it's really... What about you? What did you think about season 1 of The Americans? What side of the story did you enjoy the most? If you're gonna be talking about spoilers, please use spoiler tags in your comments, and remember, you can go to bingewatchers.space/vote and vote on what gets reviewed next on this channel. And if you're finding Binge Watchers for the first time, I'd like to invite you to join the Binge Watchers community and talk about TV with us. It's a lot of fun. Subscribe to the channel. But in any case, keep binging, and I will see you next time.